Hey, AfterBuzzers, welcome back to the SNL After Show. We're going to be talking about the James McAvoy episode with musical guest Meek Mill. We're going to break down all the sketches from the night, do a little special segment, talk about some of the sketches and their premise, their characters, all that good stuff. Got a little news and gossip coming at you, so stick around.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Saw you last night, but did it broad day.
One of the highlights of the night.
Agreed. I mean, we can at least jam out, if nothing else. And look at James McAvoy in a kilt. We'll get there, guys. We'll get there. Welcome back to the SNL After Show, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Very excited for a mediocre episode, but you know we're gonna talk it out. Love me some James McAvoy. I'm here with Steph Sabraw.
What's up? The review will be better than the show, so let's get it.
Exactly. I'm Amy Maestri, guys. We're, like I said, we're gonna break it down sketch by sketch. I'm gonna switch up the special segment a little bit tonight. Normally, I'll kind of go through the anatomy of a sketch and really fully kind of like go through the science of what makes that sketch work or what didn't. But we're like, you know what, tonight, let's kind of give like a little tidbit on each one.
Yes.
So just kind of a tiny little background on kind of what each sketch is and kind of more about what kind of writing goes into those sketches. And then I know you have a little bit of news and gossip for us. So let's jump in though. What are you a James McAvoy fan?
I haven't seen... I don't look for his work, but everything I've seen him in, I really enjoy. If that makes sense.
Makes total sense. I feel like if I'm the only other one, then tell us. But I feel like that is exactly how I feel about it.
Okay.
I'm like, oh my gosh, it's him. But then I watch something and I'm like, oh my God, he's incredible.
Yeah.
And he didn't disappoint in this. I mean, overall in this episode, I thought he didn't have a ton to work with all the time, but he really blew me away with his accents and everything. I thought he was amazing.
I agree. I can't believe how all of these non-American actors and actresses put on these American you would never think they're not American.
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually one of the other hosts and producers here at AfterBuzz, Bree. We were actually talking about this earlier, that so many European actors can just switch on and off to 100 different accents and just nail American. So many American actors are
nail American. So
you're like, I can do a Steph Sabraw pretty good.
I can hit this almost impossible monotone and that's it.
Well, we all love that impossible monotone. So let's talk about the cold open. We have Tucker Carlson, which anytime that asshole comes on the screen, it's going to be funny for SNL. But just a rundown. So we had Alex as Tucker Carlson, Cecily as Janine Pirro, Kate as Wilbur Ross, which is incredible, and Steve frickin' Martin pulling out all the stops for the Roger Stone arrest. Steve Martin making an excellent cameo here. So what were your thoughts on this sketch?
I actually really like this cold open. I think that the shutdown is a perfect opportunity to use politics as part of a sketch, whereas before this it was kind of, and the different controversy going on with the legal issues of the entire administration. Before this, it seemed like we had been speaking about every week. You're just giving us a rundown of what we see trending on Twitter every single day that's happening in politics. This was more of a story to me, and I think Steve Martin killed it, and anything he does is really exceptional to me. But I like this one because I thought when he's in glasses, it's like that old Steve Martin when he would do really wacky character sketches on stage and stand up.
Well, that's what I loved. Speaking of his old character sketches, when he just said is just a normal and straightforward guy, playing off the wild and crazy guys. I lost it.
Me too.
Only those brains can come up with, let's compare Steve Martin's old 70s SNL character of the Wild and Crazy Guys to Roger Stone. God. Incredible. I love Janine Pirro. I love the Cecily's Janine Pirro too.
Oh yeah. Cecily was on fire this episode.
Yeah, she had a really strong episode. I think overall, like, all the impressions were great. And this Kate, of course, like, just making Wilbur Ross just so crazy and weird, as she does so well. But yeah, I think to your point, it's good that they stayed on topic. It wasn't like you said, like, whether it's like a bunch of different Twitter headlines or just like a ton of different subject matters or points of view. It was just like the shutdown. Fox News escalating everything to spin it, you know, like with the FBI rating and everything with the Marvel clip from Captain America.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So it was good kind of a throwback political sketch to me almost, which was nice. Monologue. That man in a kilt.
Okay, outfit on point. On point. And actually, biologically speaking, the Scots are well ahead of us because men should technically women should be wearing the pants, metaphorically and literally.
Yes.
But men, because of the way their anatomy is, skirts are actually more tailored to them. It's actually not very healthy to have all that good stuff suctioned up there, but he looked wonderful. Very surprised of how much I enjoyed this monologue because there wasn't really much to it, but he was so charming, well spoken, and it was well written.
How much of it do you think had to do with the accent?
Yeah.
Scale from 1 to 10. 10 all accent.
Like there's a host here, Yasmin, you know, who everyone loves, and all of us are like, do I love you this much because of you or the accent? Everything you say is so smart, but it's both. I think this was both.
Agreed on Yasmin and on James McAvoy. Yeah, because they really didn't write jokes for him. I think they were just like, well, here's a comedy monologue.
I'll tell you, let's look up your Wikipedia information. But it was executed well.
Pretty much, yeah. And I think, you know, we say it a lot, but it really makes such a difference, the kind of energy that they come into the show with. And it sets you up to know, you know, to feel confident in the show or to not. And I went in feeling pretty confident just because of how into it he was. And I love that he did make that mistake of kind of like getting caught up on the prompter, on the cue cards, and just being like, oh, I messed that up. Sorry, gonna do that a lot tonight. Like, he was just so adorably excited to be there. Mm-hmm. Always makes it so much more fun to watch.
And the Scottish accent is something I don't think we've had on SNL.
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
But Roller Coaster Rider in the chat, what's up, had a good point that he was worried it was going to be just like all Scottish-based sketches.
Yeah.
Kind of like he listed the Elton John sketch. So it's true. They had some, but it was well done, I thought, when they did do it.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a good point. Thanks for chiming in on that. That's an excellent point to bring up because I feel like they do that so often, which is why when there's a host that has like a thing, kind of, I'm almost worried about it because I'm like, oh, cool, there's going to be 90% sketches about that thing. Yeah. You know, so totally. Yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad they didn't do that. But so the opening sketch of the night, the Virgin Hunk. So as I mentioned, instead of doing the one sketch where we'll fully break down the anatomy of it, I'm going to kind of just touch really quickly on kind of what the setup of these sketches are. And in this one, this is very much a one-liner sketch. This is the pacing has to be really quick in these sketches. There has to be funny specifics to get to know these like weird characters very quickly, very precisely. And so this is one of those sketches that isn't necessarily the craziest or most inventive to write, but the one-liners make it or break it. And they're the ones that, like, when people are talking about a sketch, they'll just quote this one 100 times because there's so many quick one-liners in it. So what were your thoughts on this one?
I liked this one. I thought that it was a good use of all the women, right? I think all of them were in this.
I think so, yeah.
And it was like I think, like you were saying, timing was great. I love when you explain it because it makes me look at it differently and almost respect it a little bit more. And it was current. They made it a good current and kind of overall funny. Yeah. But it didn't like make me laugh out loud. I was just like,
Exactly. Huh. Are you a Bachelor fan? Do you watch?
No. I know people are very religious about The Bachelor, and I think this did a good job of joking of why I don't like it. Because you're just like begging for attention and over one person, whether it be the Bachelorette or the Bachelor. I don't like it, but I feel like it gets even grosser with the women.
Yeah.
And it is really produced. So when they said, the one thing that did make me laugh was when he was basically insinuating, whenever the producer tells me I can get it in, I'm going to get it in.
Yes. I loved that because it's so true. My roommate recently, because I feel like there's two very different camps for The Bachelor, and it's either people who are like so into it and think it's like the greatest and they like aspire to be these women for some reason, or it's just like, this is a fun brainless thing to watch and make fun of. And my roommate is in the latter of the camps and sat down the other day. It's a good hangover show. I'll say that.
Oh, yeah, that would be like,
I don't
well,
need to use
thank
my
God
brain
I'm
right
not
now.
that bad.
But I think, yeah, this sketch did such a good job of like that just kind of like endless cycle of women just trying to compete and talk to this guy. So again, like speaking of like some of the one-liners, I loved, I'm 31, so I'm almost dead. I don't know what to say because I've never been myself even once from Heidi. Killed me. And don't worry, I'm anti-immigration.
Oh my gosh, that was funny. And just the running bit of, can I just get a second?
Yeah.
Can I steal him for a second?
Oh my gosh, Steph, you should go on The Bachelor. You'd be perfect.
Yeah, I would win that shit. I would be
far
like,
too smart.
Yeah, I would either just be let off because they're like, you want nothing to do with this, or I would just manipulate the entire situation.
The mastermind. So the next sketch was actually a digital short, Mr. H. So I know we were talking last week about how Chris Redd has not been in a lot. So got to see him in this off the top. Kind of more of a storytelling digital short that is allowed to have slower pacing because you know that there's going to be a payoff joke. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately for me in this one, I didn't like the payoff joke because it never really went anywhere and I thought it took too long. But it was nice getting that. Chris, I just love watching him in anything that he does. I didn't like the writing in this, but I loved watching him. And James McAvoy, American accent, whatever accent he does, he just felt very comfortable in this to me.
I do want to clarify, when I said thank God, I meant like thank God he was back in sketches, because I said that at a bad time. But I agree with you. The payoff was a little bit different than what I thought. I was kind of in for they could go full out. I don't know. It's hard because they didn't take the easy route, which would have been probably to give him like a perfect SAT score.
Yeah.
I did think it was funny that the teacher was trying to buy drugs. I thought that the timing was really great of both of them. I was actually really impressed with McAvoy because I feel like that was a little bit more serious and you had to hit those notes really well because I didn't know where he was going to go with it.
Yeah.
And usually they give it up. But Chris was amazing. I really want him in more things.
Yeah, totally. And I think that was kind of the issue with it for me. I think you hit it on the head, was that you were like, oh, this was kind of funny. And also this was kind of funny. And also this was kind of funny. And then they never, there was a lot of funny aspects to it that never really came together for me at the end. And when I was watching it, I literally yelled out loud like a crazy person sitting alone on my couch, "Get to the game!" They just kept talking.
What's the game?
So next up we have the Scotland. So they're flying the private jet. Kaylee or Kendall, I don't know, one of the Jenners. Who cares?
Kylie Jenner.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah.
They're playing, and this is pure premise sketch. So it's something that irony is consistent in it, and you have a pilot who is trying to help, or someone air traffic control trying to help someone land a plane. They have a thick accent, can't understand. Pure premise, which is nice to see these, because I know we've talked about it on the show and some of our viewers have talked about it too, when there's just like a silly fun sketch. Doesn't have to be like a commentary on something, doesn't have to be political, doesn't have to be like, we hate Trump, we do. It can just be simple and fun, and that's what this was.
I agree. I actually really liked it. It didn't overdo the whole lost in translation translation type of thing. It was just it was done just right. It wasn't too long, which they've been tending to do. And there was some really funny payoff moments for the sketch for me. And I think this was a great use of his accent. Yeah. And Kate McKinnon did a great job too.
I know, yeah. As soon as she started talking, I was just like, of course. Yeah. Of course she's good at this too.
Seriously?
But yeah, that's a great point, that it really, like, if you're going to use the accent as like a kind of game to something, this is a good time to use it. But I just thought it was fun.
Because it's true. I will say, I think language is the most interesting and amazing and beautiful thing. Australian and Scottish accents are sometimes very hard for me to understand. Like, even when I'm full on appreciating what you're trying to say, I don't know why I'm missing something. So I feel so bad. I'm like, I'm really not trying to be offensive, but can you please repeat?
Yes. So you understood nothing from this guy. Not a word.
Not a word.
You're like, I don't know what's happening, but I like it. And props to him again on this. You guys are gonna get so sick of us saying how much we love him in this, but he was so quick, and I know that's what he's most comfortable. That's like, but it's still like he didn't skip a beat. Yeah, he was spitting those lines out left and right, and he was really comfortable.
Like we were saying, I don't know if we already touched on this. He was great. They didn't use him as well as they could have. Yeah. I had no idea he was gonna be that good.
Yeah.
But I guess that is how he is in his films, too. I'm like, oh, you are freaking great.
That's his thing. It's his brand.
You must be an actor. He said he's a movie star.
Well, before we get into the next digital short of the night, which was a fun one with Leslie, I think Steph has a message for you guys, though.
Yes, AfterBuzzers. Before we get into this beautiful sketch with Leslie, so proud of her, we wanted to say thank you for making us the ESPN of TV Talk. You guys let us continue to grow, and by helping us do that, we can bring more content to you guys. But one way you can help us even bring more content to you guys is if you're on YouTube right now, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. And if you're on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating and also leave us a review there. I love iTunes reviews. They're extra spicy to me. But no matter where you are, leave us a comment so you can get involved in the conversation. Like Roller Coaster Rider right now, you're lighting up this chat. Much appreciated. Being a part of AfterBuzz TV has meant so much to all of us, and we truly appreciate you supporting us and doing what we love. Don't forget to tell your friends and keep enjoying our shows, baby.
Yeah. Well said. Leave some spicy comments for us,
we
guys.
Love the spice, baby.
Bring the spice. You know who brought the spice? Les Dog.
Yes. I was so focused when you said that on her when I started to talk about AfterBuzz.
I knew it as soon as I said it. I was like, this is totally going to throw her off.
Yeah, it is because I was so obsessed with this.
Yes.
I thought she just slaughtered this.
U-E-S. All day.
All day. That jumpsuit.
Oh my gosh. Everything, like, more, just as I was yelling in the last one about where's the game, this one I was yelling more of this from Leslie. More of this. Use her where she is good. This is where she is phenomenal. I want to see so much more of this kind of stuff from Leslie.
I totally agree. It made me it's when you put someone in where they're not supposed to be, like if we did this to Pete Davidson, then we would forget he's funny. But we use Pete Davidson well, and probably he's good at navigating what he's really good at and executing that, like the weekend updates and like the angsty teen, like those types of characters. I think Leslie, hopefully this is the beginning of her realizing she needs to be doing what she's great at, which is a lot of things. Yeah. But it's not cue cards. For now, it's not cue cards.
Ayo.
So this was amazing. I want to see more of this, and it made me realize that she should be doing more films, like comedy type films.
Yeah, I'm so into that because she's just so comfortable, so confident, and I mean, so many lines in it were great too. And I'd love to see who actually collaborated with this on her, and like who were behind, like who are the writers behind it. Because actually, too, just off of Leslie, I also just loved at the end, I got Netflix and a warm cat. just got a kitten this summer, so I'm pretty into that line.
Your cat is amazing. Oh my gosh.
He's pretty. He's
so
very
much
cute.
Personality.
He's a sassy little man. He would leave some spicy comments for us. I'll tell you that if he could type. And again, James McAvoy in this. Every time I see him, that character in the butcher shop, I didn't even know what he was doing because I was just so in awe of watching him. I want to see a whole show about that character.
I wanted them to pair up more after this.
Yes.
That was a really good duo.
That would have been great, actually. And then let's go right into the next one. Speaking of him being excellent, a Scottish man doing a Philly accent in the Charmin focus group. Ugh. Incredible. I can't even do a Philly accent. I'm from Syracuse, New York. I'm from like 5 hours from Philly. I can't even do a Philly accent.
What is wrong with us?
So in this one, this is kind of a vehicle for characters. So it could almost be construed as a premise sketch in a way because of the setup, but really this is a sketch where you should be able to let characters shine. Whether there's 3 or 4 of them, in this one I didn't think they needed 4. I thought they should have only had 3, but this is where you get to just showcase different characters. If there's something that you've been working on, you're not sure what setting they're good in, this is where you can learn more about them and kind of discover through what they think about a certain product. So focus groups are a great way to do that. One of my favorites on a callback is the Melissa McCarthy Ranch focus group.
HB freaking R, baby! I dressed up as her. I'll have to pull up that photo one day for you guys.
Please
or
do.
You can see it on my Instagram. Ha, plug.
Please do. So it's just a great time to be able to showcase a character, and in this case, James McAvoy stole the show on it.
Okay. Yes, he did great, and I love that you brought up HVR because possibly like top 5 sketches for me ever. Yeah. But freaking Kyle Mooney, man. You guys know I love Kyle Mooney's humor and his comedy. To me, this just screamed Good Neighbor sketch, which is him and Beck's comedy group that they've had for years. But as soon as he opened his mouth, I just started. This was the first huge LOL moment I had. And I know he has a very particular kind of comedy, but for me, I get him and he would get me if he knew me at all. That's how I felt.
You know, I was like, you know what? I'm going to say my piece and then just have her talk about Kyle for a while.
Let me go off because we barely get to see Kyle. He's barely been used in this season. And I think it's a Leslie, and I think actually this speaks to a bigger issue of SNL. When you think about every person they have, you think, wow, they're great. Everyone's great individually, but for some reason the seasons haven't been as strong and the sketches aren't as strong. And I think that has to play into them not utilizing each person as they should. They want to throw everyone into every type of sketch as opposed to personalizing and executing on what their comedy style is.
Dude, yeah, that's such a good point. Because, I mean, there's so many politics that go in behind the scenes too, as far as like writers wanting to write for certain people and like certain partnerships being, you know, formed and stuff. But then also, yeah, like you said, just do what you're good at. Have other people do what they're good at.
Yeah. Unless you're Kate McKinnon and you can do freaking everything.
Then fine.
Fine.
You're Kate McKinnon. We get it. Anything else on the Charmin focus group?
No,
other than your boyfriend.
I said my piece.
Said your piece on your boy. Let's cover Meek Mill quickly because I know we update and you know we got some more sketches to cover. But what are you a Meek Mill fan?
Yes, I am. I'm a massive Drake fan, so for many of us we were parted sides for a while because their beef was so intense. But I will say, the one time the screwed up criminal justice system has done good for someone is returning Meek Mill's career back to him because he got so destroyed by Drake in their like beef with each other that a lot of people were like, do I not respect Meek Mill as a rapper anymore? Like, dang. But he got so screwed over by our courts and the way we criminalize black men especially, that when he returned his latest album, Championships, it's a great album. You guys should definitely go listen to it. And I thought he brings so much energy, and that's what he's known for. So I think he killed it.
That's the thing. He is so, every time I've seen him perform, and even just like if you're not watching him, just listening to his music, he is just like brings so much energy to it. So I always, a lot of times during the musical performances, unless there's something crazy visually going on, I just kind of like dance around my apartment and get stuff done while I'm dancing for sure. So sure Meek Mill would have really appreciated my white girl bobbing.
He would love it.
Around the apartment.
He would love
just
it.
Dancing with my
I'm
kin.
his spokeswoman.
All right, let's get to our boys. Shay and Jost, update.
Foyer. It was so good. I was smiling the entire time. I thought this was the strongest in a few weeks.
Yeah.
And I think partly, again, the shutdown is so freaking screwed up, but it's a great place to execute comedy because it is so messed up. And I thought, and all the people like that are getting indicted now are just easy targets. But I particularly loved that he thought, who was it he's speaking about, that he would pay black men to screw his wife.
Oh yeah, Roger Stone.
Yeah. Roger Stone. It's like, I thought this is why you never know Michael Chase setups, where they're going. And when he said, I thought originally when I saw him, I thought he looked like a guy that would pay black men to screw his wife. And then when I found out he actually is a guy who paid black men to screw his wife, I loved it.
I mean, that's one of those moments when so often we're like, I mean, when things are this crazy, it's sometimes hard for comedy because you have to find the crazy in things to make it funny, and it's already crazy. But in something like that, it's just like, you can't write that. You can't write that. That's just, it's there. There for the taking.
Exactly.
And actually the way it was kind of opened up on Jost's breakdown of Trump's wall talk, basically of showing the clips of him just saying things that you're just listening to him and you're just like, this is a real thing that's happening. And then listening to Jost's commentary back and forth on it. I don't always like that style, but I thought that was actually really funny the way that they opened it up with that. And then before we get into the two guests quickly, did you have any like standout jokes?
No, that was the main one.
Okay.
I thought Colin Jost was equally great, though. They always have ones that you want to write down.
Yeah.
But I was really impressed this week.
Yeah, I think it all flowed really well this week, too. And then so the first guest, so we had Chris Redd. Again, Chris, our boy, getting a better episode this week, doing Soulja Boy. Love the impression. It's insane.
Love.
And I know we can kind of get into this later too, like for the news and gossip stuff. But I mean, you know, obviously this was about his interview where he was talking about like his like really terrible video game that he made or whatever. And I will just say that I'm not a Soulja Boy fan right now because he did use the R word in a tweet or an Instagram post, I can't remember which, but that was deleted, saying that it was retarded that people thought that Nintendo would sue him. So Soulja Boy on my shit list. Not a big fan of that.
Like,
Hate
we're
that
not
word.
doing that anymore.
But I thought this was God, getting to see Chris just kind of like go after it was great.
He really brought the character to life. And I actually, first, I was surprised because I was like, are they going to bring Soulja Boy on? It's not too far-fetched to assume that, but I thought Chris Redd was so good.
Incredible.
So good.
Incredible. And I don't know if Soulja Boy and Kathy Ann, I think they should have been on together. What do you think they would do together?
Oh God, that would have been so good if she like came in the middle of it and kind of like white mothered him.
Oh God, Kathy Ann, like you said, Cecily had a great episode, and I just like getting to hear her talk as Kathy Ann. She just seems to really feel at home with this character. I don't know. It's not an insult to Cecily by any means.
No. It's my favorite of her characters.
Yeah, I like that she finds a way to get political with it. With like kind of like doing it in a different format though, of not like a lot of her characters do that, which is great because I know Cecily is very like politically involved and a big activist in a lot of ways, so it's cool to get to see. I feel like this is just like a venting session. I feel like this is therapy for her. Yeah. Like when she gets to come on and do that, it's just therapy.
Totally.
And we appreciate it. Chronicles of Narnia, I don't have a ton to say about.
It just like was. It disappoints me when you take a fantasy premise and you just do nothing with it because that's something I look forward to. I like when they do playoffs of movies and especially fantasy movies because there's so like there's so much weird stuff that happens metaphorically in those types of movies, especially Narnia. So they tried to take it weird, but it didn't land at all for me.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you know, so this is, again, a parody sketch, and it just, one of those things that's kind of like a funny thought, and I mean, this happens a lot of times. I think they take something that's like, oh yeah, that's a funny thought, but then there's really nowhere to go with it. I thought the characters of the girls all made a lot of sense, but again, just never took off for me. So, and then we have a recurring sketch, I don't even know what to call them, the brothers of your boyfriend and Beck. So again, this is obviously character sketch. Yep. These are two characters that could be taken into any situation, any scenario, anywhere, and be the same characters. And on the written page, not funny, which is kind of the struggle with pitching a lot of character sketches too. I mean, some of the best of all time. It's not funny on paper. It's all about the actors bringing it to life. And I mean, Beck and your boy, they bring this to life. So
that's a great point. That's a great, because if you think even about Kristen Wiig's sketches, if you wrote down like slutty cheerleader who drinks a smoothie and makes like cum jokes, I mean, it kind of sounds funny, but it's like, okay, that seems easy, but then she just levels it up, and that's all of them in that sense. But they go 100
totally
always, and that's why you can't, I think in any type of job or position, if you're going 100%, it's not bad.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's the thing. You need that in character sketches, because it's not like the writing in these sketches are that amazing. There's not a ton of specifics. There's not a whole, there's no real build up or, it's just them doing their thing. And I mean, some of the best SNL characters that you think of, I mean, Chris Farley doing Van Down by the River, or like, I always remember one of my sketch teachers talked about the Chris Kattan sketch, Mr. Peepers. What? You write down, I jump on a table and eat an apple and spit it everywhere. Like, it's all about the performance, and Beck and Kyle are such good character actors.
Completely.
Like, I spit an apple. Lauren's like, what the hell was that?
Oh, gosh, such a good callback.
You know what? Getting into some callbacks tonight. Feeling some old school SNL.
Which I did watch, love Gilda. That is the title of Gilda Radner's, it's not a it's a biopic.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I know we kind of talked about it quickly last week, but I absolutely love that woman so much. Highly recommend the film. Highly recommend her autobiography. And just if you're ever feeling like sad or like overwhelmed by everything in the news right now, just go to YouTube and type like Gilda Radner sketches. Gilda Radner woman show, and you'll just smile.
I do have to say, I did, as big of an SNL fan as I am, I did not focus on her enough. She is a freaking goddess. She brings so much light into comedy and is forever one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, and speaking to her, to her just absolutely owning it too. She was the first member cast on SNL. She was the first person hired by Lorne Michaels.
Oh yeah,
so
and that's crazy. I felt like such an idiot watching it and being like, how did I not focus on her enough? I always knew she was a legend, but I never took the time to really study her work.
I feel like that's so easy to do with a lot of people, but yeah, I mean, she's just, a goddess.
Yeah. Well
said. We miss you, Gilda. Mm-hmm. And so let's get into the last two. We had one more musical, digital short, and this one was dogs. My bitches. My dogs.
It was funny.
That's the thing. This was one of those ones that, like, you're not going to be, like, laughing out loud about it, but it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's silly. It's funny. The execution of it was great. Ego! Ego! Yes, girl.
Finally. Yes. I want more.
Same. And I loved the twist on it of them just coming at the end and being like, nah, bunnies. What? But I think the partnership between Chris and Pete in a lot of these digital shorts, kind of like almost Lonely Island vibe of getting a lot of these musical digital shorts in that I'm really digging. But I think, for me, I really love to get to see Ego in it. And just, what's wrong with Mark? Just James McAvoy being a frickin' wackadoo in this. So intense.
Totally.
So just a lot of fun. And then we have the last sketch of the night, which this is a recurring character for Heidi at this point. I think this is the second time she's done this. So I mean, this is one that's kind of almost, at first you think it's more of a premise sketch, but really at the end of the day, it's a character sketch because she can be teamed up with any guy and then have this thing where they're just like silly, who are very pretentious, go somewhere and think that they know everything about it and want to share it with friends. And the reason that it's a character sketch, and I want to see them do this, they don't have to be at a restaurant. They could be at a baseball game. They could be at an AA meeting. Mm-hmm. They could be at a parent-teacher conference, anywhere. And these characters would work in it, which is what makes it a character sketch. And I think that would help it because I always think this sketch is funny, but I want more from it.
It's a great point.
What did you think of this one?
That's how I felt. That it's when you break it down, you're like, this should be hilarious, and it's not. So I want more. Like, it needs to be shifted. The stakes need to be higher.
Yeah, because I mean it's so like that idea of and everyone knows those people who come back from vacation and think that like someone goes to London for a week and they're just like talking in a British accent.
Suddenly
like,
cultured.
Yeah,
that was like these horrible humans. That was aggressive. These kids I studied abroad with in Paris. I kid you not. They probably had never smoked a cigarette in their life. We land in Paris. Within the first day of school, they were chain smokers.
They would get along with Heidi's character.
Yeah.
They'd be besties. But yeah, props to Heidi because she always runs that sketch top to bottom. Only time James McAvoy broke was in the sketch. Heidi got him.
Yeah.
Because she's a queen. But let's, I think you have a little bit of news and gossip for us, right? Cool.
Yes, I'll be quick.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So we touched on Soulja Boy a bit, but after the Chris Redd sketch of him aired, he said he loved it. He thought it was the shit, apparently. But bigger news: Pete Davidson will be starring in an untitled project that will be Judd Apatow. And this will be his first film directing since 2015's Trainwreck. And so I'm really excited to see Pete Davidson in a big film like this.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It will be a part of the Sundance Festival. And yeah, that's my main news. Those
Very
two.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I love seeing Pete get some recognition and having him be directed by Judd Apatow. I think is going to be dope.
It was like, I saw it like, why? I know how to say this thinking.
It just throws you off a little, like James McAvoy in the monologue.
I'm like, you're missing and adding syllables. But I think this will be great for Pete Davidson. I think he needs to. It's time that he expands his career more.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, I'm stoked for him. Any other overall thoughts on the episode? Do you have an MVP from it?
Leslie. I think I'm going to have to give it to Leslie because it put the biggest smile on my face. Although I loved the Charmin bit, it did make me laugh out loud more.
Yeah.
Leslie fired me up.
Yeah. No, so I can agree with that. I normally don't like to go with the host, but I feel like he just did such a good job for someone who seemed very nervous in the beginning, but still like super excited. So I was just happy to see him just kind of rock it the whole way through.
Yeah.
Dope. Well, so next week they're off. Going to be back on February 9th, I believe it is, with Halsey, musical guest and host.
Like, what? I saw that and had to tweet about it because that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about a lot of the people who have done it, I'm pretty excited, but also a little nervous because I really do like her. I've never really seen like any kind of like acting or like sketch or comedy, anything. So I'm excited.
I'm really
nervous.
excited because you're getting put on the level of people like Childish Gambino, who literally has a career in acting.
Yeah.
And Justin Timberlake, right?
Yeah, like he's done both. Miley Cyrus has done both.
Those are people who have acted.
Yeah.
So I'm up for it.
Yeah.
I love that she's doing it. Hell yeah. I want to see what's going to happen.
Same. I'm pretty excited for it. Well, until then, Steph, where can we find you on social media?
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Steph Sabraw. I'll also be covering The Magicians tomorrow, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. And Marvelous Mrs. Maisel with Amy, so you guys should check those out.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Amy Maestri, and we're actually covering the last 2 episodes of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel this coming Thursday at 4 and 5 p.m. So right here on the Comedy Channel, you can check out those last 2 episodes of this epic season, so make sure you stick around for that. And we will see you guys on February 10th. Woo!
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.